Writer Al Ewing and artist Valerio Chiti and a slew of other fantastic artists come together to tell the tale of Manifold's journey to find help for the X-Men and Earth as the planet is pulled into eternal night by Knull and his deadly symbiote army. Al Ewing continues to wow me with just how he is matching Jonathan Hickman's grand scope for the X-Men and mutants in general, and here we have it all focused on Manifold for an issue. I thoroughly enjoyed as an Australian getting to see an Aboriginal hero take the spotlight and deliver a fun and exciting spy-themed story. I liked we touched on Manifold's heritage as he returns home to check on his people and make sure that they are okay, leading to some wonderful callbacks to his role in Secret Wars and his fateful role in the final incursions, as well as the man dealing with the fact that he did some horrible stuff in his past and having to reconcile with that. A big chunk of this book was dedicated to the hero trying to gain allies to battle Knull, and of course it wouldn't be an X-Men book without some shadowy deals, like the mutants literally trying to sell off their own people as weapons to get some new allies, but then also betraying those people that they sell to as the mutants can just die and come back on Krakoa. That's a mite bit fucked up, and I'm hoping we get to see more of that since it's another in a long list of really shady shit the mutants are pulling now, and looking forward to seeing it explored. Valerio Chiti, Ray Anthony Hyatt, Bernard Chang, Nico Leon, and Marta Gracia all come together wonderfully this issue in a really fun and creative way, with each artist getting a chance to draw the characters as Manifold moves through his portals. It's actually quite genius how the book is set up and how it's bookended by Valerio's wonderful series artwork for the book, and in between every time a new portal is opened by Manifold, it's a new artist. That's so damn creative, and it's a great way to showcase Manifold's unique abilities. S.W.O.R.D issue 3 was a wonderful character-centric issue that, while was a tie-in to a larger event, still managed to deliver a great look into how Manifold is doing on this new team, his overall role in it, and even forward some of the more nefarious mutant plans while planting the seeds for some bigger stories down the line once King in Black finishes up. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. S.W.O.R.D issue 3 finds Manifold taking his leave from the S.W.O.R.D station, hoping Lila can look after his duties for a little bit while he uses his abilities to disappear through multiple planes of existence, until he arrives at Cartagena in Australia, meeting with his friends and family who compliment his new costume. He tells Baz that it's a spacesuit, as the men tell him that this is Manifold's mob's fault. The hero is confused, thinking his people are talking about Krakoa, but Sammy says that he reckons it's the Avengers' fault, and Eden should tell Iron Man that when he sees him. Manifold says that he never really talks with Iron Man, and Black Panther is the only Avenger he sees these days. Baz says that he mentioned he was kidnapped helping Iron Man out with some space business, which Manifold remembers, knowing they made him forget who he was and how he killed a lot of people. Sammy hopes he's doing better now, and Eden reassures him he is better now, as Baz warns him to be careful with Krakoa, since if they can put him somewhere dangerous like before, it could be worse. Eden says that Earth is the most dangerous place these days, and he came back to check on them, asking if they've seen any of the symbiote space dragons. Sammy says no aliens want anything to do with them, making Eden happy since he's got somewhere else to be and many stops along the way in his travels before he gets to return back to the S.W.O.R.D station. But he knows all those stops in his journey are safer than there. Baz still worries for him, hoping he remembers what Gateway told him since he's his elder, and if he wants to go somewhere, he's got to know where he started from. Eden gets what his uncle is saying, and knowing exactly where he started from. Sammy hopes he'll be able to cope without having the stars to guide him, and he's always had problems being indoors, but Manifold tells him not to worry, since this is where he was born. Manifold easily opens a portal, telling his uncle not to worry about Krakoa, telling him that they made up 3 laws and the third one is to respect the sacred land, so they are okay in his book. Baz, however, states that they still had to make a law about it, as in deep deep space, Manifold arrives at Prince Jaeger's capital ship, finding out the prince is aware Earth has fallen to Knull, asking how Earth has fared against the Void God. Eden says that they are working on it and it's why he's there, since the prince's people can and have been stealing powers. Prince says that the S.W.O.R.D requires them to have the best weapons, so they can take them where they can, but he appreciates Earth's mutants taking pride in their inborn talents. Manifold says that depowering mutants is a big no-no on Krakoa, so they must be desperate, as he shows the prince a hologram of Burner and Lifter, two mutants who are being offered up as volunteers for the S.W.O.R.D. The prince reminds Manifold the power transfer can be fatal, but he says that the mutants are hoping for this, something the prince doesn't really understand, but Manifold says he doesn't need to know, hoping that he will be willing to take the deal and bring his mobile fleet to Earth and help destroy the symbiotes. The prince asks if he has ever heard of the planet Ortua, regaling Manifold with the story of the planet and how his sister was planning on conquering the planet for its rich mineral deposits. However, Knull had already beaten her there and destroyed it. Nevertheless, his sister tried to take the world that no longer existed, losing many men in a battle, and now she is in hiding, and thanks to the loss, his most powerful opponent has been removed from play, all thanks to Knull, and now Manifold wants the god destroyed. The prince says that Knull destroys worlds, but he has no world, but his enemies do, so let Knull come and kill his enemies for him, and he'll build new stars from the wreckage. Manifold knows this is a lost cause, taking his leave and wishing the lizard good luck in his endless wars. Manifold heads through his portal as a voice calls out to the prince, telling him that his time has come and he is to die as he is killed by a blade. Manifold heads to the Alpha Flight station and to the office of Henry Gurich. He hears the man coming, sticking to the shadows as he hears Henry talking to someone on the phone about dealing with the Krakoa problem. Manifold quickly hides himself inside a portal as Henry enters the office. Eden quietly opens a cut in reality so he can spy on Henry, who says the mutants are organized now and they need to coordinate in a similar fashion, wanting to see a full schematic of what they have designed, reassuring his contact he hasn't printed it out, although he has. Henry leaves the printed out file on his desk, looking out of his window and talking about how with Knull surrounding the Earth, they're completely blind, and if the worst happens, he wonders what the survivors will be, knowing they could all be mutants. Manifold looks over the file, discovering what the man has planned before returning the file to the desk, as Henry says that his mole in S.W.O.R.D only says so much, and very soon the mutants will show their hand and Orchis will get some new recruits. Manifold returns to the station, calling for Brand, who is listening with her mind, telling her Orchis got Henry Gyrich, having turned the man, meaning they have some new problems. Brand says they'll have to deal with him later since they have new problems to deal with, since no one has checked in from the X-Men team she sent to New York and Krakoa, so they might need an extraction. Manifold understands, heading for the New York gate, telling Brand that he'll just need a minute. Heading through the gate, he finds the Knull-infected Cable, who has cocooned up all of the mutants, readying to turn them into Knull's soldiers.